Hello, friends. My name's Host Eric. I'm the host of Talking with Famous People, and I'm live streaming today. Why? Well, I felt like doing something YouTubey, but I didn't feel like doing any real work, I guess. So that's why I decided to start live streaming right now. I'll probably live stream for about an hour, at which point I'll probably go to the weed store because I am basically out of weed. I've got like one bong rip left here, which I'm going to pull right now. So I thought I'd call this one Typology Community Forum, as often I feel like that's what my live streams functionally are anyway. Now, it's not a good time of day to be having a live stream if you want to get a lot of attendees, probably, because it's 9:05 in the morning on Thursday. Hi, Florian Bischoff. However, I do know that my European friends are sometimes pleased by these odd timings of mine, such as Florian Bischoff, a native of Germany. Florian says, "Hey everybody, I enjoy these early morning times because they're appropriate for me where I live in Germany." Anyway, I've been editing videos of my father, who's an ESTJ. I've been finding that process interesting as he behaves in a lot of stereotypical fashions that are very ESTJ-esque, and I enjoy noting those. He's also pure in the sense that he's uninformed about cognitive functions or type or anything. So I get a real representation of his attention that's not modified by the open system metacognition inherent of studying cognitive functions. Joey Shabadoo. Stay-at-home moms with norovirus afflicted households like these live stream times. Norovirus. I don't know what that is. Hi, Tim Bulware. So, one thing I want to do more of when I get off of Sleepy Week, right now I'm on Sleepy Week, so I'm pretty low energy. I'm not really feeling like doing a whole hell of a lot. But when I get off of Sleepy Week, one thing I want to make sure I do is continue to ramp up the collaborative efforts. So every time I do stuff that involves other community members, it tends to do better in terms of views, in terms of likes, in terms of everything. So, of course, those are a little bit more challenging to do. They typically involve editing and I got to set something up and schedule something and whatever. But over the long haul, I think it's very much worth it to okay, big time Timmy Jim, or Tim. It's not rad stomach flu. Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that it's not rad. I oppose all things that are not rad, so I think that clarifies a bit what I'm talking about here. I do have a little bit more weed. I forgot I got this weed over here. That's good. So, yeah, I've noticed that whenever I do any sort of collaborative things, they do a lot better. I also know that I really enjoy interviewing people. In fact, the channel, I guess, was originally envisioned as something of an interview channel. It just didn't turn out to work out like that. But that's not really it's not really a fault of the medium so much as it is that I discovered that I enjoyed making a lot of solo videos, and also that it was difficult to find people to interview at first. I had a hard time finding people who were willing to be interviewed. At the beginning of the channel, I would sit around and go make videos saying, "I'm in this room here. If anybody's willing to be interviewed or talk to me about anything, come visit me in this room, and then we'll talk." And I I'd sit there for a long time sometimes without getting any kind of people show up. So I need to sort of revisit that reality that there's a lot to be made out of interviewing people, and it sort of has its own inherent growth engine. Hi LJ, how are you today? I'm fine, Eric. Thanks for asking. You're welcome. I would love to interview you, Joey Joe Shabadoo. I didn't know. I see. That's the thing. I don't think to really throw it out there like I ought to. And yeah, I'd be totally happy to interview you. I'd be happy to interview you after I'm done with this live stream. It doesn't have to be a lot later from now, So one matter that's coming up that I'm actually a little nervous about. Hi, Sheila W. Is the type policing of Damon Gray and Taylor. So Taylor, I know, is an ESTP. I tend to think Damon Gray is an ENTJ, but they can be challenging to tell apart because you're looking at ignoring SI and ignoring TI. You're looking at seeking FI versus polar FI. You're looking at tool NI versus seeking NI. I guess that's the best place to aim is at the tool function and see if you really see tool NI and Damon. I'm not absolutely sure what he is, so it's going to be a tricky type police episode. I hope to arrest him, but I'm not absolutely sure I'm going to be able to at the end of it. So I'm looking forward to that. Joe Shabadoo, we could also do that if you want instead. You could be a type policeman and join me on a type police episode. Sheila W. Hail. I would like to do an Elon Musk typing. Why is everybody so interested in Elon Musk? I should probably type his ass at some point. I can probably get a lot of views. A lot of people ask me, what type is Elon Musk? You believe he's an intuitive, logical introvert? Meaning NITE? So, INTJ? I would suspect an NTJ probably as well. Or I would just say probably ENTJ. INTJs don't have quite as much flash as Elon Musk usually. Or you say INTP, huh? Well, Tim Bulwer says INTJ for sure. Why doesn't anybody think ENTJ? I don't really see the polar FE. You'd be a terrible type police lady? Why? Maybe YouTube notifications aren't all bad. Hi, Matthew. Okay, cool, Joe Shabadoo. That sounds good to me. So we're talking community. We're talking togetherness. Where two people intertwine their tenders in a way that moistens both of their hearts. You don't have a decent grasp of the function squad yet? I guess that matters a little bit. Kumbaya indeed. Good morning, Becky. How's it going? I was typing this ESFP lady the other night, and she indicated that she probably wanted to talk to me again, wanted to talk to me again, and I said, okay, that's fine, but I want to bring Becky along with me to this thing because I think we really want to work with her. I had a conversation with her about how you're our therapist, quote unquote, how you're not actually a therapist and all that stuff. So we'll see. I tried a little bit of your approach with her at the end, and it's powerful. It's powerful to get people to connect with their feelings by treating them as part of themselves and stuff. Yeah, you just have to have a decent grasp of anything, basically, Joe. And you can have a decent grasp of, I don't know, driving. That'll be fine. Just make everything analogous to that. It's like when you're driving. Sometimes you steer, sometimes you brake. And I just go, good point. Good point, Joey Joe Shabadoo. In your opinion, for what makes some ESTJ so aggressive and combative? Is it an SI thing or demonstrative SE? I would say it's a I would say it's an 8-slot FE thing. Because they use FE purely instrumentally in service of their TE, they tend to use the stick form of FE more than the carrot end of it. That's what I would guess. I think they have the same sort of quote aggressiveness or combativeness as ENTJs. In other words, they're using FE to serve their TE. Type Venezuela leader and USA appointed leader 2.0. I don't know. I can't even tell you who the leader of Venezuela is right now. So you've caught me on a foreign policy knowledge gap. Hi, Senjen. Is that the chickens? Are that the chickens? I hope not. I have a decent grasp of how to clean a vomit. Well, let me tell you something, Joey Jojo Shabadi. One of the less glamorous aspects of being a type police officer is a lot of people vomit in terror when they get pulled over. So, you end up with a lot of puke on you when you're a type police officer. Matthew Alistair chimes in. Hi, Zen. You're such a copycat, Matthew. I said that first. You're always copying me. Everybody, have you noticed how Matthew's always copying me like that? After I say hi, he says hi. Anyway, you admit you use it less for yourself than others now, but it's in a feedback pocket tool. Well, do you feel like you need to use it now? I mean, do you engage in behaviors that are objectively bad? Okay, I'll stop bullying Matthew. It's just because Matthew one time hurt my feelings. And, once you hurt my feelings, for years and years and years afterwards, I'm going to hold you accountable for that. Okay, I think that Elon Musk is FE polar because he doesn't recognize the social impact of his tweets and how he isn't seen by, for example, the SEC. Well, I mean, the thing is, you could say the same thing about me, right? I'm planning on becoming president, and yet I have all this social media stuff and yada, yada, yada. But, yeah. Oh, Matthew. That's the most original frowny face I've ever seen. I'm not going to lie. Internet laughs. I didn't know we had internet laughs. Lee. Lol Planet. Feeling frisky today. My feeling frisky today. Frisky like a filly in a spring field full of daffodils. Thanks, just me. Appreciate it. Will there be a TWFP and CS Joseph live stream discussion? I mean, live, you guys talking together. I have invited him on multiple occasions, but I have received no reply. So, that's what I have to say about that. I don't know who Vermin Supreme is, but sure, I will see how our platforms align or don't align. I'll talk to anybody about, why I ought to be president. I will explain what's wrong with his platform if there's anything wrong with it. Yes, spring is in the air. And spring is the season of love. So if you are feeling a twitter in your heart, a twinkle in your toes, and a desire to gaily gallop through the tulips, well, that means it's time for you to mate. So find yourself the nearest mate eligible partner and mate away. I don't know who Vermin Supreme is. Florian Bischoff says his social positioning is so genius he is either FE polar or FE dom. Well, I would position it as he's an interface dominant, which is TE dom probably, which means he's very effective in his FE, whether or not it, it may seem kind of combative at times. Note that he stopped smoking weed when there were going to be consequences. Google image him. It will tell you all you want to know. Vermin Supreme. Well, he's 10 years older than I am. Could there be a correlation between IQ and type? Here we go again with the IQ questions. Sure, there's a correlation between IQ and type. Is there a correlation between IQ and anything meaningful? No. I'm dominant, just pure dominance. That's true. You are. You dominate dominance itself, making you the uber dominant. You spoke with Berman 4 years ago. He has a plan, huh? I hear it involves a free pony. Eric, bust out the guitar. No, I'm not going to play the guitar right now, although I appreciate your requesting it. The thing about playing the guitar on the live stream is the audio comes through pretty shitty. It's like this thing's pretty compressed, both video and audio, but it seems to take a lot more out of the audio than it does the video. Whenever I play the guitar on one of these things, it sounds terrible afterwards. So, I don't know. What are your views on Linda Barron's interaction styles in the disc model of typing? I don't really have a strong position on that. I don't know enough about it really to have a strong position about it. I think from what I do know about it, I believe it's a descriptive taxonomy only, and that's fine for what it is, but they're necessarily, therefore, basically arbitrary. The interaction styles don't reflect really functions in any meaningful sense. They're sort of descriptions of function pairs, perhaps, or general function correlates, and it's just, that's to the extent that I know about it. That's what I would suspect. And he keeps violating SEC laws like crazy, even though it's bad for his economic position. And his reason is that he doesn't respect them, motivated by FI. Okay. Play a song about springtime mating. All right, well, maybe I will do that in a little bit here. Are you additional correspondence with the upcoming DSP interview thing? No, I should probably confirm it. Ashley says, woo! Hi, Duel. I have to say, I have a girl boner for all ENTPs, and CS Joseph just doesn't do it for me, thus he logically cannot be ENTP. That's good logic, Ashley. That's good thinking there. Your girl boner is probably the best Geiger counter for the radioactivity of ENTP. Even though it could also be that he builds his image as the rebel CEO. Maybe. Not to make this about myself, but LJ thinks I'm EXXP. I don't know what you are, Matthew. I haven't typed you yet. You want me to type you one of these days? I'm going to type you live on camera one day. Not live on camera, but like, you want me to type you later? You deserve a typing. For sure. You're one of the few people who really appreciates the genius of Raul Diego. So, JL says hello. JL, I want to respond to that by saying back to you, hello, and welcome. I want to welcome both your J and your L to this Typology Community Forum live stream, in which all J's, L's, and J's are welcome. Other letters, you have to check in first. But LJ and JL are fine. They can just walk right past the guard. I'm glad to hear it. So, regarding the typology community, if you were to make a quick, I guess you'd say, inventory of typology people, you'd say, aside from myself, there are CS Joseph, DSP, there's those girls, INFJ, INFP, INTJ Coffee, and then there's Damon Gray / Jed Crandall, who's currently got a new channel with Taylor. There's Eric Thor. There's who else is there out there that's actually like a big typology person? Oh, Megan Lavoda, Pukoki. Oh, the INTJ is gone now from the Coffee Girls? Right, I wouldn't want to forget about Megan's brow. Megan and her brows. And Pukoki, and there's Loveloo. There's Type Tips. There's PK's come up as soon. There's Planet Catch Up. Don't forget about Planet Catch Up. Scott Morgan. I don't know who Scott Morgan is. Do you know who Scott Morgan is? I don't know who Scott Morgan is. Okay, so I did. Scott Morgan, I type believes him. Was he what he said he was? Did he go to jail, or is he a free man? Oh, I see. Things make me think about stuff. Now, one thing that I was thinking about is I saw a video today. There's this guy who makes a lot of videos that are about, I think, interesting topics. I don't even know what his name is. I don't usually watch the videos, but I'm tempted to a lot, and I probably will start watching them a little bit more. He made a video recently about Dr. Phil, whether Dr. Phil is good for mental health or bad for mental health. In other words, whether he's a good therapist or a bad therapist. I kind of want to watch that guy. I would have said Dr. Phil was good until I started talking to Becky about internal family systems, which I haven't formally typed you, Matthew. I would say now I would think to myself, well, now I do think he's probably not good for mental health. He's good for entertainment. What he appeals to is everybody's sense of righteous indignation at the wrongness of the people who are expressing wrongness on the show. That's what the sales value of the show is. That's what people want to see. They want to see Dr. Phil indignantly wagging his finger at people, and then he obliges when he has on people who who it would seem from an external source need to have fingers wagged at them. But of course, the reality is those people have probably had nothing but fingers wagged at them their whole lives. And certainly, regarding whatever conflict it is at bottom of Dr. Phil, they've had plenty of acrimony. They've had plenty of experienced plenty of condemnation. Although I will say it's probably better than the one other alternative, which is that the therapist side with the person who's more dysfunctional and expect more of the person who's less dysfunctional or something like that. So I don't know. Anyway, the point is, you got me thinking. You got to get yourself right, says Matthew. Good morning, Karen, says Planet Ketchup. Mr. Marks 101. Is there a most commonly mistyped type? Hi, Red. Uh-oh. Whoa. Kim. Jesus Christ, woman. It's Officer Red. The sun is up. I'm out of bed. I lay an egg, and then I head to the cruiser on the street. I press the pedal to the metal with three-toed feet. And here we go. It's time to roll. Type police is on patrol. Bark.
Excuse me, don't be getting me. I've got shower head.
You got shower head?
Yeah.
What's shower head?
Yeah, just got out of
shower. Can you take this chicken from me?
Yeah, can you? Help me, please.
Okay. I don't have any more. I gotta go to the store. Okay, so anyway, Dr. Phil is an SJ of some sort. I think Dr. Phil's an ISFJ. That's what I think he is. Have you seen the movie Limitless, Eric? No, I have not. I've been asked if I've seen that movie many times by many people, but I have not seen it. You think Dr. Phil's an ISTJ? I think he's an ISFJ. Kimberly doesn't want to be on camera because her hair doesn't look right or something. I don't know.
I'm wearing a robe and I just got out of the shower.
Oh.
I could work in 30 minutes.
She's robe showered. She's shower robed. Do you have an opinion on Julian Assange arrest? I mean, I don't think we should arrest Julian Assange. Well, I mean, I don't know what they're arresting him for exactly. But in the general rule, no, I don't favor, when I'm president, I will issue a preemptive pardon if I can for Edward Snowden. And I'd like to see Julian Assange not be punished for what I think is fundamentally a good thing to do. Oh, yeah, your suspension is over already. You've just been sitting around the break room because nobody told you. But you should have asked already sooner. Don't you think ESFPs are misunderstood and underestimated? Yes, I do. And I think that I probably have played a role in that as well. I've made videos in the past where I sort of dismiss or make fun of ESFPs, and I regret doing so because the reality is I've also seen videos where I type police somebody who was an ESFP, thought he was something else, but was nevertheless a very realized person, and like any type, there are healthy incarnations and unhealthy incarnations of it. And to some extent, every incarnation of every type is particularized. Although it's more so with SI types in general than NI. It's true for every. God damn it, motherfucking piece of shit! Everything's falling over. 'Cause everything's falling over now that we're made out of cheese. There, it's better. Okay. So, the thing is, we each, as individual human beings, have the challenges of our own type to deal with, plus the challenges of our own particular situation. So it's also true that some types lose their way more easily than others. I tend to think ENTPs are actually a type that can lose their way easily and can easily be dragged down into debilitating kinds of drug addiction, instead of sustainable ones. So, yes, or ISFPs can be great. Someone's got to be in the moment and feel something. Right. There's a certain realness to the experiential frame that is implicit to the ESFP. And there's something equally real and true about the potential power of conviction. And that's what the ESFP has learned to harness, is the power of conviction. But with forethought and eye, it can be a challenge. So, ENTPs have their own challenges. Every type does. Goat cheese has less lactose and more protein. It's probably better for you to eat. Yeah. You tried porpoise cheese? You want to talk about delicious. Have yourself a big hunk of porpoise cheese. The tricky part, getting down there to milk them. Surprisingly little nipples on a porpoise. I should know. I was actually raised by a herd of porpoises in the wild and was breastfed by my porpoise mother in the warm tropical waters of Bahama until I was old enough to swim ashore and find some people to raise me. My porpoise mother was later cruelly caught and killed by a tuna fishing vessel. Pretty tragic. I was mad about it. But, they gave me her body, and she was delicious. But I'm on a conference call, so I can't hear the audio, only see the chat. It's interesting. It may or may not be typologically relevant, but Assange and me share a lot on a beard level. Probably is significant. I think the amount of beard correlates strongly with the desire for informational freedom. Oh, you were raised by narwhals, Tim. Interesting. Yeah. Well, porpoise actually. Don't get them confused, okay? There's no bottlenose in me. It's pure porpoise. Yeah. And you know what they say the purpose of a porpoise is? The purpose of a porpoise is partly to persuade. Okay? It should be remembered by everybody who studies porpoises in the porpoise studying community. Female ENTP. Sing us a porpoise song. I appreciate everyone's asking me to sing a song. But you know what? Probably I would guess the majority of people would prefer I not sing a song. So I'm going to pause on that for a bit. Planet Ketchup. Planet Ketchup. All right, I'll play a song. I believe before porpoises, there was a request for a song about mating in the springtime. So, I guess I'll combine the two, and I'll write a song about porpoises mating in the springtime. little hot. Still a little hot. Oh. Pretty flower, I here to be plucked. Matthew, I'm not gonna read that stuff. That's not romantic at all. And springtime is for love, hearts soaring high above, bringing the tenderness to your moisture. Love in the springtime, flowers and dew. Drink hot tea, get cheetahs dissolved. Why is that something that you would do? Porpoise is mating in the springtime. No, it's not a Cheeto, it's a cheetah. Okay. And cheetahs are endangered species. So we shouldn't dissolve cheetahs in hot tea. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I hope everybody's genders were dampened a little bit more than they were prior to being here. You're probably feeling in the mood for romance, for love. Break out that dating app if you're single. Break out that OkCupid, that Tinder. Swipe left this time. Swipe left. Expedient. I have. I think all ejaculations are expedient. I'm feeling bunt cake moist. Now that's one of the levels of moistness for sure. If karate has belts, moistness has cakes. Okay. Matthew, gonna give that ass a slap. I hope you're talking about a mule, because that's not romantic. That's lustful. Okay. Spring is all about romance. It's about tenderness. Like, instead of slapping the ass, why don't you give a lady a card saying, I think you're special? Oh, rhymes with dating app. I see. No. How about this? I say on my dating app that I like to take naps. Okay. I said on my dating profile, hi, I'm Eric. I'm really into sensual ladies. If you're a deeply sensual lady, then let's get sexualized. And that's how I ended up with Kimberly. She responded to that. I'm surprised. Most people don't. People always type me as INTP, but I can envision SE, but cannot envision FE in myself at all. So in conclusion, I'm a pigeon. Your thoughts? What do you mean by you can envision SE or envision FE? So that's really the question, because then it would depend what you mean. Oh, I'm in live chat mode, not in top chat mode. If you're on top chat mode, don't miss out on all the action. Switch over to live chat. So my conclusion, Joseph, is that I need to know more clearly what you mean by envision. Do you not? It depends how you understand what the functions mean too. So YouTube isn't my real dad. No, it's not. I knew your mom, and there's no way she would have slept with YouTube. She was picky. YouTube is my somewhat questionably trustworthy uncle. You know, like I'm not quite sure if Uncle YouTube has got my interest in mind all the time, but you know, he's facilitatory, interloping stepdad trying to tell me what to do. Get out of my face. Get out of my shoe. I'm trying to put it on and go out of the door. Go away, stepdad. I don't want to hear your crap no more. That's what Joey Joe Shabadoo would say when she was a little girl. She'd use urban rhyming to communicate with her stepdad. Always calling him interloping. And autocorrect is a shitty annoying brother. Fuck, autocorrect sure is. But then if you turn it off, you're like, Eric, what are your thoughts on archetypes? Any idea how they link up with MBTI typology, or if they link up with it at all? I mean, I think the archetypes are a metaphor that we put onto processes of cognition after the processes of cognition have manifest. So people be in certain ways, and they say certain things, and they make certain choices, and they justify them in certain ways. And then after those behaviors join up into a little package from other people's perceptions, then those things will fall into one of multiple possible archetypes, right? But it's important to remember that you're not describing anything about the cognitive functions. You're talking about how those things manifest as displays in a taxonomy of possible human narratives. And it's very plausible to divide things into narrative because of the way that the human condition is somewhat universal, and the way that NI will necessarily collapse equivalence into samenesses in some way. Lovely lady with blonde hair, please take off my underwear. Let's frolic in the flowers. Let's bang in the shower. See, now there you go again, Matthew. Now that's crude. I mean, I was going to let this taking off the underwear slide, assuming you left on the rest of your clothes. But bang in the shower, unless you're talking about gunplay, that's not appropriate. Springtime love. This must be a gift from above. Springtime love. The rest of it's fine. Okay, the rest of it's fine. YouTube is more like a soccer mom, in that she has a large minivan and a Percodan habit. So let's see. Community forum. Typology community forum. Well, Typology is a community in which individuals make YouTube videos and other individuals watch them and or communicate in chats or decide to make their own channels. Is SI Tool more likely to remember the details on memories than NI Tool? Yeah, much more likely. In fact, NI Tool is very unlikely to remember the details on memories basically at all, because it's SI polar. And your tool determines your polar. So NI Tool is SI polar. Thank you for asking, Jake Hurwitz. Straightforward question, straightforward answer. Yay, you have the audio back. Freaking 2-hour conference call from hell. But LJ, I want to talk some more about business stuff. I got a chart here. Go ahead and look. I don't have a preference for either socionics model. I instead think that the correct understanding of it is the function-based understanding of it, creating functions like functions. So just as we model, we don't really model, we create an ecosystem in which agents can interact with each other by putting, getting in, and receiving information, namely the internet, like what's happening here. We model that correctly with cognitive functions. We begin with the idea that we're doing that. We're making a model that has fields and objects on the fields and vectors in which agents interact with objects and fields respectively. So if we begin with that basic understanding, then we're grounded in something that's empirically so. We already know that we can model agents in this fashion. It's just a matter of determining exactly the relationship between the functions and the putting and the getting of information in the two different ecosystems and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is we can actually come up with a sound model of this, and I've largely done so and presented it on multiple occasions. And it takes little bits of things, maybe from different places, but the point is, what it primarily does is give us a real full framework and model. It says we have a prime directive, that is to conform expectations with realities, and the functions express different strategies in which people can take to do that, basically. Okay. She be looking good, but what is happening behind the scenes is baddie. Who is she? I don't know who that is. Oh, soccer mom. The soccer mom. LJ, I hope at least some of it was entertaining for you. Oh yeah, she was entertained by a part where she hung up. TEI looks at the memory and finds meaning in it in correlation with life and importance of the self. Not really. The chat feed was the only thing that got me through. Lol. And Eric's pretty face. Gorgeous. I don't know if you guys caught a little bit of that last live stream where I talked about what it is, what life is like being a beautiful lady. And, it's pretty good. Could you please explain how FI manifests as a role function? Well, what do you mean by role function? You mean 8th slot or 3rd slot? If you mean 8th slot, you mean FI in the 8th slot, then what you're talking about is you're a deliberating type. You have TI in the dominant slot, and it means you're good at both deliberation functions. But the FI in the 8th slot is basically your unconscious tool function and your undervalued tool function. So it's as busy almost as your tool function, but it's unconscious. You're not really willfully attending to it in any meaningful sense, and you're not applying it willfully in any meaningful sense. It sort of comes and goes as needed, and you'd prefer not to do that sort of stuff. You also find people who use it badly, in your opinion, to be offensive in some regard. So that's what I would say about that. I'm kind of jealous. When I walk in public, I don't get the sense most people want to jump me. Some for sure, but not most. Hump you. It's a big difference. I would hope most people wouldn't want to jump you. Although, it depends where you live, I guess, how much crime there is. Jake Hurwitz says, do you find that people who don't know about the functions get weirdly uncomfortable when you talk typology in front of them? I try to avoid it. Well, it's too much to explain, It's too much to explain to get people to even understand what you're talking about. LJ points out that my kiss was effortless. I was born coquettish. Okay. I've been a coquette ever since. Been refining the coquetry. We talk about polar variances, such as polar SC in the INXP and polar FI in the EXTP. Yeah. The difference is obvious in the sense that ENTPs, ESTPs get a lot of shit done and want to be out in the world doing shit. I want to be impacting for one reason or another. ENTPs because we want change, and the STPs because they want impact. But SE polar, that's the only meaningful difference in terms of how other people experience ENTP and INTP is that INTP doesn't typically get anything done, really, not much, a little bit here and there. They're not gonna put a handle on shit. And they don't get the point of even putting a handle on shit. It's blind to them, and so it's a weird kind of phenomenon to be that undermotivated to do shit, really, but concurrently not really aware what it means to do shit. and can currently feel bad about it because the society's judging them about that shit all the time. What's the easiest way to notice polar NE in people? Ask them a couple of on-the-spot questions. ISTPs will literally turn, walk away, and come back. ISFPs are a little harder to note it in because they have their feelings. So they always have answers for things, more so than INFPs who are like, well, it depends all the time. NFPs are it depends all the time. ESFPs can also be it depends all the time. And so I lost my train of thought. That's not polar NE. Polar NE doesn't typically lose a train of thought. But it gets thrown off when you throw some new thing in the mix. It's like, what? A new thing? I have to walk away and think about this. Oh, shit. Is the connection fucked up again? I hope not. How can you check if somebody is polar FE or polar SE? Well, polar FE is easy for me to spot. It's, if you're wondering if it's in yourself, that's a different question than if you're saying how to spot it in somebody else. Polar FE is going to display as, well, for example, they'll not really get sarcasm a lot of times. And an INTP with fourth slot FE will understand sarcasm well, will be pretty good with verbal play in the same way that an ENTP is. Whereas INTJs, presumably is the other alternative you're talking about here, they are not like that. They think before they speak. One big difference between INTPs and INTJs, INTPs think as they speak, more or less. Now, the thing is, they think more before they speak than ENTPs do, but they think less before they speak than INTJs do. INTJs have the whole sentence or whatever they're going to say completely thought out and concluded upon before they say it. And INTPs are extroverted intuitors in the tool function, so they're much more comfortable talking on their feet. They're also much more comfortable, putting things in their own words. So for an INTJ to get an idea is for them to get the exact phrasing of it, like in debate, for example. Whereas INTPs, they're quick to rephrase things so they get the general gist of the idea in their own words. It's how they understand things. Okay, and it's kind of indicative of SI versus NI too, right? SI needs to experience it itself, and that's what the NTP mind does. Is it takes the meaning of it and it experiences itself by rephrasing it, and then it's much more well understood, and by meaning packing up and down. Making meaning equals this, and this means this. Yeah, okay, I guess that's extrovert intuition. I relate to those. Who's calling me? I'm getting a telephone call. I'm getting Amber Alert. Okay, Amber Alert. How does polar FE do with irony? Right. Well, and it has trouble with irony, and it has trouble understanding some of the more FE active ways that people communicate with each other. What's a regular joke? A regular joke begins with, have you ever noticed? And it ends with, I'm Andy Rooney. Thank you, Matthew Elster, for saying, don't forget to click like. Tim, does TI dominant make one smarter than an NE dom up until the NE observes more related to the subject matter? I would say a TI dom is more deliberative than an NE dom, and that's the only real difference. The TI of the TI dom is going to be somewhat more robust than the TI of the ENTP, for example. INTPs are going to have less problem and be more willing to and more interested in diving deep into each of the nodes, whereas ENTPs are going to be tired out by the TI involved in that and will want to jump between nodes and make connections between nodes all the time. It's the difference between any DOM and any tool, you know. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. I guess what more people think is funny in certain circumstances, people say you're too serious. Are you too shy, hush, hush, IUI? I get all jokes and always working on a jokey comeback, love not being serious. I'm also rather risible in that fashion, Sheila W. You and I share that commonality. INTJs have ridiculous jokes, especially the real manipulators. They all are, but the ones that pride themselves on that. I don't think INTJs are real manipulators, particularly. So choppy. Are you on a boat in the ocean and you're talking about the waves, Tim? Are you? I hope so. You should offer call-ins for Super Chat. You can call in regardless of Super Chat. Anybody can call in. People are welcome to call me. I got my phone in my hand. Yeah, during live streams, you're welcome to call me and just say things like, say, hey, what's up? I have a question, or I want to talk. I want to say this idea I have, or whatever, you know. People can call me. A priest and a rabbi walk into a bar. The rabbi says, is this a bar? The priest says, I think so. And the rabbi says, well, we should get drunk then. The priest goes, fuck yeah. 16 days later, they wake up in Bermuda. The end. Have I arrested Damon yet? No, I haven't actually begun the type policing of him yet. It is sleepy week for me, Jack. You got to remember that. Sleepy week means I'm waiting on a new Adderall bottle to come through, so I'm kind of undermotivated to do hard things. This is the easiest thing I do with the YouTube channel by far, and the most pleasant and the most just like playing. So it's I just live stream because I'm bored and I just feel like doing something. INFJs manipulate others. I mean, some of them do. It's not. If you're going to talk about a type that can be manipulative, it can be INFJs, but I don't think in general they do. I think that if you want to say they do in general, then you're stretching the meaning of the word manipulate too much. Just because they're aware of how their behaviors impact others, they can't not be aware of it. So, you know, they have to make a lot more choices about manipulation than do any other type, really. I could be a little manipulative sometimes, but I don't necessarily think it's bad to be manipulative. It requires too much of my attention. Good luck manipulating others with that 0 FE. Yeah. Well, that won't help you manipulate others. 0 FE. It is funny, you just don't get it, LJ. Way too serious. If you were JL, you might get it. Yeah. JL has a totally different experience than you. Totally backwards. Sinjin, INFJs manipulated INTJs into being the official manipulators of MBTI types. Oh, that's funny. That's probably true. Brittany said INTJs do it without feelings involved. That's not true. The phone screen is relatable. I got offered Ritalin at BAPT conference. Oh, did you take it? It is absolutely delicious. You will love it. Talk about a good replacement for your tea and crumpets. I know how you English people enjoy tea and crumpets. So if you're out of tea or out of crumpets, replace either of them. Then with Ritalin, you should. I'm just trying to start shit. Didn't work. JL, I'm much the same. LJ, the live streams are my favorite. Shabadoo. Smiley, smiley, smileys. Well played. And poor Jack didn't get any speed. I'm sorry to hear that. That makes me sad for you. Well, someday you will, and you'll say, "Oh, what I have been missing. I've been looking for this my whole life. It's Jeremiah Fix and ham bone. Ready to bone, ready to ham, ready to bone some ham. I'm ready to bone, I'm ready to ham, I'm ready to bone some ham. I'm ham bone." That's what ham bone says every time he enters a room. People go, "Will you stop doing that, ham bone? I'm so tired of it." My grandfather cooked some speed for my grandmother and spiked her tea. That's a very loving grandfather you have. One question. Would you give someone who's unsure of being INTJ or INTP? Could you give the most indicating hint if such a convenient thing exists? I would say one thing is, where's your SI? So SI in the third slot wants the self to be comprised of a series of stories about the self that are experiences they've had, or things they've completed, works they've done, ideas they've come up with, and ideally see those things manifest in some way in nice, pristine successes, a series of nice, pristine, singular successes that make up a life story, a life narrative for the self that one can look back on and take a lot of satisfaction in. That's INTP's hidden agenda. The INTJ hidden agenda is FI, which is to love, and they want to adore something or someone, and they want to love that person a lot. They want to be doing the things they love. They want their life to be consistent with their authentic wantings. So try to draw that distinction in yourself. If you have a lot of trouble with it, drawing the distinction, you're more likely probably to be INTP. You know, INTPs with their NETI can be excessively objectively doubtful, right? So excessively skeptical. INTJs are a little less so because they're ignoring, not ignoring, they're kind of valuing the TI. It runs afoul of their tool function, even though it pops up a lot. When you got 6 slot shit, it pops up a lot. It plays a big role in your life, but it's annoying and you don't like it very much. LJ almost just made me cry. I've been crying a lot lately, I tell you. I get very emotional sometimes. I get emotional when I experience, I come into contact with other people's suffering, as I sometimes do, talking to people. I get emotional when I think about my mom or something like that. And, the moisture, I don't know what to do with it. So it's just kind of like, ugh, enough. Hey Eric, when you share your music with others, what type of responses do you get? I spend hours on mixing a 2-minute section of my song around. I see people knew that it took that much work and expected better feedback. Right. Well, what you're going to find is the level of quality for music across the board to get anything other than indifference or ignoring it or constructive criticism is extremely high. That it's very, very difficult. I mean, look, I've successfully put out now on YouTube anyway, hundreds of songs. And it's not until fairly recently that I started to get down a bit of, get it down well enough that it's mastered well enough, mixed well enough, produced well enough, and it's a good enough song, and it's lean enough, and it does enough stuff and not too much stuff, and the lyrics are resonant as well as the music, and everything pops, that you can then I can tell when it's good, because like the feedback is telling it. I'll get 10% likes on something that's really good, and I'll get substantially less than that on something that's not. So, and it's like, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's one of the hardest things to do. And even when you absolutely kill it, it'll, my things that absolutely kill it will get a couple hundred views and about 10% likes, and then that's it, and some positive comments and stuff. So it's really, really difficult to make an impact with music. I'm not being sarcastic about INTPs and INTJs, Joseph, at all. That would suggest INTJ. So when people with no SI in their first 4 stack are telling a story, they're using SI at all. Sure, it depends where it is, right? So 5th slot SI will bust out with an occasional story. 6th slot SI is actually rather active. So if you're talking about ISTPs and ISFPs, they probably still won't tell a ton of stories, but they'll have their experience as a reference, and they'll have their own taking care of themselves and that kind of shit pretty down. And they kind of won't like to do it, but they'll be pretty good about it. So, what am I answering again? Oh, right. Brilliant. But you'll hear the lack of detail. You'll hear the alternative to what my dad does. He told the story. I don't know if anybody saw the video I made with. I edited a video with my dad where I interviewed my dad, and I put some little pop up texts explaining things in it. And in that video, he tells a story that Lonnie told him. Lonnie's my uncle, about Germany. And then my dad relates that story to his own experience at the gym with the lockers. And the story about Germany, the guys all sit in the same chair every time. And he says, I'm the same way. I go to the gym and I got my 2 lockers. I got my locker and I got my backup locker. Now, what you're seeing there is SI as a tool function. Literally everything that he's encountering in life, such as someone else's story about Germany, links back to his own experience, because that's the way he deals with shit in the world, is through SI. It's his tool function. And you'll see degrees of that, ranging from tool function, which is probably the most display degree of that of all, although SI ultimately, if you get to know them, SI DOMs are even more like that. But SI DOMs go in with an implicit frame that everything links back to their experience, which is different than SI tool. But yeah, you'll see varying degrees of that kind of shit in people depending on where their SI is in their stack. How detrimental do you think it is for a highly introverted person to work in an extremely extroverted environment? I find myself spending most of my time recovering rather than exploring creative options or stuff like that. I mean, I just think it's very important for every person to find work that's consistent with their function stacks, and that kind of stuff. So if you're finding it that tiring, it's obviously inconsistent in some regard. It's obviously asking of you something that is not a comfortable function for you. Probably 7th slot, maybe a lot of 4th slot. So I don't know what your 7th, 4th slots are, but if you got a job that's requiring a lot of those, then you're going to be very unhappy in that job, almost for sure. It's going to be constantly asking you the shit that's hardest for you to do. Let's see. Since I've been into all this typology stuff, my moisture is coming to the surface. Mine too, Sheila. Mine too. It really is it's a rain dance. Typology is a rain dance. It's a demand, but thank you. Eric, define emotional as it relates to you. Oh, well, I mean, now I have a means to define it, which is it's the thing I look for when I'm questioning my own motivations rather than justifications. And my own motivations are often like in my. See, the reason I had to even do this at all was because I had to deal with my own behavior in my relationship, which is to say, regardless of my correctness, my approach, my rhetorical correctness approach is escalatory. It escalates conflict between me and Kimberly and causes it to get worse and causes her to behave worse, you know. So so I had to start looking at my motivations and say, okay, well, what's really motivating me to want to say this thing here? And most of the time it's resentment. So, and then I have to decide not to say it. You know, it's an excellent learning experience for me because it demands of me a non-reflexive behavior time and time again. It's obviously the slab's meant for me to learn what I have to learn to successfully be with Kimberly and successfully help her to integrate as a human being with her potential a little bit better, you know? So I did say it was really good, but I wrongly set my expectations of feedback higher than that. Well, I mean, that's natural. And the answer to that 100 Mile Media, number one, is put out tons of shit, one right after another. Get used to it landing with a bit of a thud and work towards, you know, seek the critical feedback and take it to heart as much as you can. But occasionally you'll get one feedback that's not correct, and you have to be able to distinguish between that too. But okay, well, if you're talking about 8-minute song, I would say you're on the wrong track there, friend. You'll notice if you pay any attention to my music, you'll see that I have almost 0 songs that go over 3 minutes, and most songs are right around 2 minutes or a little under. And the reason for that is because that's the native size of musical ideas fully expressed once through with all the proper amount of framing of them. Anything else is excess, and people's ears are no longer tolerating the indulgence of songs that spend time doing something other than expressing their identity to the listener. We should make a third channel called ENTP Male and Female Bong Sesh. We can make it. I mean, we'd be better off just alternating putting up videos on your channel and my channel. Making another channel is not a good idea. It can be worth it if the work is extremely meaningful to me, says Jojo Shabadoo, but I've never found something that made the exertion worth it for very long. Emotion is the deepest thing I know and the hardest thing for me to allow to surface. It's the deepest thing I know. It's easy for me to allow to surface, and I have no idea what to do with it once it does. We will just NE from all INTJ and INFP coffee's claims. Okay. We just NE off of anything. My media, so you want others to like the music. Why do people like Katy Perry's crap? Katy Perry's pretty good. She's got some good songs, you know? That one where she dances until she dies, I like that one. We should dance until we die. You and I will be young forever. It's a good song. It's a great song. Can you do the Brenna Lee name announcement? Brenna Lee, says Lol. Lol, I'm Brenna Lee. I'm here. I'm Brenna. I'm Lee. And I'm lolling. God damn it. I enjoyed the pop-ups, but if CC is on, it covers the statements you place. Oh, really? It's good. That's good feedback. Thank you. I'll take that into account. I'll move it up higher next time. You like my dad video? Very insightful. Thank you. What are the best ENTP jobs, professions as compared to our stack? Well, I think actually, therapist, life coach, whatever is a very good job. But I think the very best one is debate coach, my job, or president, which is my next job. There was a rumor INFJs possess superpowers. How do I turn off my sympathy power? Have you been eating enough cheese? Tell Cam I told you to tell her hi. I miss you guys. Okay, I will tell her hi for you. At least you're getting more conscious about my reactions. Yeah, I'm getting more conscious about my reactions. Exactly. You guys make great way on your relationship keeping online. It's impressive, really. Not many can make improve and expose themselves. Well, hopefully I'm not exposing myself. But I am exposing my moisture. It's true. But I've never been too worried about that because I'm polar FI. It doesn't matter to me. I don't feel vulnerable about exposing my moisture. Name 3 jobs 7th slot TE would hate. Then name 3 jobs 7th slot FE would hate. 3 jobs 7th slot TE would hate. Anything that requires you to figure shit out. I mean, the list of jobs that TE Polar hates are innumerable. Like trying to make the cricket work, for example. Eric, I don't know. We won't recognize it. Okay, sweetie, here I come. So, like anything that requires you to problem solve at all. Sounds like Effie would hate being like a hotel check-in person who's, welcome to Marriott. You and your family are wonderful guests. We're so happy to have you. Okay, well, I mean, that's ignoring 100-mile media. If you say, I'm a pop music fan and the music I listen to lasts 8 minutes or longer and the audience listens to that type of music as well as the audience I'm going for, you're ignoring the NI question, which is what I'm focusing on. So think about it. I don't think the extra wording of intentional needs to be added in praising for exposure of relationship. When you have YouTube, you're intentionally published, therefore exposed. I don't know. Eric, do you think the government should be more involved in people being allowed to have children? No, that's a violation of freedom, for sure. Yeah, there should. I mean, the question is, if I can't decide for myself whether I should have a kid, well, why would somebody else be more well equipped to decide whether I have a kid? You need a proper origin story, a cape, and a mask to get INFJ superpowers. Right. Like mine being raised by porpoises. That's why I'm Porpoise Man. I go around and make people feel purposeless. I'm a super villain, actually. And then that prevents them from accomplishing what they want. I'm Porpoise Man, here to steal your purpose. As an INFJ, how do I escape the dreaded life income rags? What? An advanced obsessed with a harem of INFP lovers able to enjoy life to the fullest. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, you got to get with an ESTP. He's got to use your magic on chicks, make them feel good. Like, oh, you're so pretty. But I'm not going to say that too much. I'll make you want it. Let's see. If your mom was sitting when you were coming out of her vagina, you would have been standing at ground zero. Least favorite job, factory work where I had to do the same thing every day, count and put 150 logos in a box. 100-mile media. I don't think so. The structure of my song is very specific and I plan. It doesn't just go off random places just because, even with that being said, it also may be the case the music I listen to is ignoring and may take inspiration from that. Yeah, that's a good sort of, that's a good response. Oof, that's hard, Sheila. Worst job for me was working in a wine shop, INTJ. Second worst was teaching English to kids, but at least that was interesting. Eric, will you work with me for a jingle on my page? I has the concepts, but not the creating and editing skills. Sure, absolutely. I'm an INFP. My first job was working front desk at a gym. It was fun, just drained me due to the enormous amount of social interaction. Sheila, were you tempted to put your name on them? Checked by Sheila. She had to handwrite that on each one. Teaching children is a job reserved for saints. No, it's not that. I'm good at teaching children, and I'm not a saint. I just know the profession. I do get impatient and stuff, and I get upset at the kids sometimes, and I yell at them sometimes. But I know the drill. I know the TE of the profession well. So it's not difficult when you know how to do it. Let's see. I'd say an ESTP Azure Kaizen. ESTP. Find an ESTP, which is a dual for INFJ. Even if they're a friend, you'll get along well with them, and then you guys can go out and slay the place together. You'll find it unsatisfying, and you'll end up wanting to settle down into a relationship with somebody that's a little bit more meaningful. Yeah, the debate kids are ready to take a little yelling here and there, and they do, and their parents are cool with it too. And I used to even be more yelly than I am now. I used to have a lot of profanity. Yell at them, "What the fuck are you doing?" People would be like, "These are middle school kids, Eric." Well, that's how they talk to each other. You ever put ice cubes in the top chamber? This one is made to do that, actually, this one, but it's got this little hole here. But I haven't done it yet. It's a new bong, and this is a relatively new bong as well. I will pull this bowl, though. I think it's about time to pull a bowl. And any last pressing questions or thoughts from everybody? I am probably going to start wrapping this up here pretty quick and try to get some other things accomplished today besides just live streaming. So any last thoughts, I'd be happy to address them, though, before I go. I'm in no huge hurry. I gave my 11-year-old brother permission to swear when he comes over. Big mistake. Runs around my house screaming, "Cunt!" I keep telling him there's finesse. Right. Yes, profanity requires finesse. Yes, Matthew. No, I'd say something like, "How the fuck did you drop framework? How many times have we gone over this? Do not lose framework. Rule fucking number 1. How does FI manifest in the ESFJs? Well, they assume they know their own feelings. It's what it means to have ignoring FI. They assume they know their own feelings, but they don't necessarily know their own feelings that well, and they tend to ignore them when they're important, which contributes to their polar NI somewhat as well, because their feelings never coalesce in anything singular, and it's all about porpoise milk is the thing from that point forward. Yeah, it does make sense that I would value that as rule number 1, but there's more of a reason than that. Because I structure my cases so that if you win framework, we're going to win this round. Win framework. And then if you lose framework, you can still win the round like this, but it better be because you battled framework. When I say don't drop framework, I'm saying like if you lost it because you failed to extend your own framework or address theirs, then you have not been paying attention. God damn it. We need to win that framework for this whole case to come together. My ESFJ told me she can't control her emotions because the conversations end up with her yelling and getting all spun up. So hard to work things out. Oh, well, I've got a suggestion for you, Mike Matthews. It's called IFS, Internal Family Systems. You should both do this. You should go and try to communicate with the part of yourself if that's the issue, or she should try to do that. Like if that's the issue that she gets all worked up, what does she get so upset about? Is it that you won't agree with her, or is it that um, you're not communicative enough, or is it that you didn't give her any cheese on that day? Could be any of those things. Beards or beauty hairs? True. How do you check for TI versus FI polar? Well, that one's pretty straightforward. You can give them conditional logic problems and see how they do. Like, my mother's my mother's my mother's only brothers, wife's only daughters, father's only sisters, only son is who? That's a question that if you can answer it, then you are TI, not polar. Yes, Planet Ketchup, you got it right. If you have TI in the tool slot or the dominant slot, you will get that right, just like she did right there. So, C.S. Joseph said an ESFP was abused by mom. Cop didn't care that ESFP was abused, and C.S. Joseph said good because ESFPs need kick in the ass. C.S. Joseph should have encouraged ESFPs to turn video games into a career. Well, I'm sorry that C.S. Joseph uh, said that. That's unfortunate that he said that. No, ESFPs do not need a kick in the ass. Nobody really needs a kick in the ass. This is slowly what I'm determining here. I mean, the thing is, I respond well with a certain amount of ass kicks, a little bit of ass kicks, but mostly I respond well to backpats, And I suspect most people are like that. In general, people are not, they don't fail because they're inadequately self-critical. People tend to be their own worst self-critics, and there aren't very many people who have an excess of genuine self-esteem and confidence, and then that's the problem. Very rarely is that the issue. So I think then that it's often counterproductive for people who have especially sustained damage of some sort to tell them what's wrong with them. And it's much more productive to tell them that there's nothing wrong with them and that the various parts of them are making a concerted and well-intentioned effort to protect themselves from further harm, but that there are ways to manage those parts more successfully and be more in the driver's seat with the core self. That's a much better model to understand how to help people because it doesn't tell them there's something wrong with you, which most approaches do. I think it's important. You feel like she's scapegoating out of presenting facts to refute my facts. She gets spun up on purpose to avoid discussing the problem. Well, I mean, ESFJs don't like situations to collapse down to singular solutions because they're NI-polar. I mean, it's not just a show she puts on. She's not putting on a show for what reason? To avoid discussing the problem. She doesn't get the singularity of things collapsing down to a singular answer. Like, yes, you are right on this. I am wrong. I will change. Meh, meh, meh. Or whatever. So I think it's probably that she doesn't do it. I mean, she may do it purposely to avoid discussing the problem, but there's some other reason besides that. She's not just avoiding discussing the problem to annoy you, unless you guys are that far gone at this point that you just spend all of your energy trying to make each other suffer, which is possible. That happens sometimes. Hi, Jeebus. I added you as a contact in my phone. You're no longer just a number. Now you have Jeebus as your name. That means I don't have to keep scrolling up to figure out who it is. Yeah. So yeah, I think the whole it's understandable for logical types. If Mike Matthews, let's say you're a TI tool user like me, an ESTP, an ENTP, or an INTP or an ISTP, then it's very natural for you to question the motivations of people who behave what you would deem to be irrationally or not engage in fair discourse designed to parse away wrongness to attain the to attain the desired outcome. So it's more likely that it's not our understanding of the motivational calculus is wrong, because we're always going to phrase things as if you wanted us to have a solution, then you would approach it like this, because this is a solvency based approach, and the approach you're taking does not include any solvency here. It just leads to us saying nothing, agreeing on nothing, resolving nothing. Things just stay a mush. There's no plan of action, and there's no meaningful attempt to resolve things once and for all. What you will find with an ESFJ woman is that she will continually move the goalposts, so that if she's expressing some sort of dissatisfaction and you do that thing, then she will just find something new to complain about. That's ESFJ in a nutshell. There's always something more you can do to make her life more as she envisions it in her script. Now, if you are an ENTP or an ESTP, well, then you got a little bit of trouble there. If you're an INTP, you should be able to work this out. But you should be able to work it out either way. Either way, if you start thinking about it, right? You got to stop. You got to let go of the right and wrong shit. And believe me, I know it's fucking hard as hell. Believe me, it is hard. But you got to let go of it. You just got to be like, I'm going to stop worrying about the fact that what this woman just said was complete fucking bullshit and attacking me. I'm gonna let go of that, and I'm just going to let it sit there and not respond to it. And then sure enough, not that long afterwards, you're getting some sort of display or expression of regret or remorse that she had said that or done that. But you got to let her determine that in her own time space. Yo! Hold on, I gotta go. Actually, I think I'm gonna end this live stream. And Joe Shabadoo, email me. You got my email address. It's suartsire@gmail.com. And let's maybe chat if you feel like it right now. Or in a little while. I'm not sure. I gotta go see what Kimberly wants. And Becky too. Shoot me an email or something. Like